How would you...
Hey guys, Dr. Tammy here. I am excited to be here tonight live talking about some amazing things, of course. And it's kind of fun because it's almost Christmas, like one of my very favorite holidays. I just ordered a Christmas tree from Amazon because mine is buried in the garage somewhere and I haven't had a chance to dig it out. But I thought, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll just do something fresh this year. And it's crazy because I thought I had lights on, it didn't, and it's a mess. It's you have to undo all these things, and then I thought, oh, it'd be fun to get it flocked and with all the white stuff on it. It's just everywhere on my floor, and my cats are going nuts on it. So that's exciting. Christmas preparations at my house. So I hope you guys are getting ready for Christmas too and having fun. And the holiday season is just my favorite time of year. So I do these lives every night at 7 o'clock. So please tell your friends. It's Ask Dr. Tammy. If you guys have questions, I usually try to save most of the big ones for the end and make sure that I cover everybody and I'm watching your comments. So I'll try to get to everybody. If I don't, then, oh yeah, can I ask a health question? Sure, let's jump right in. And so my topic tonight is brain fog. So that's going to be a fun one. So I'll wait for your question just a minute. But anyway, most people think that menopause is just hot flashes, and it is not. Menopause is, by definition, 1 year without periods. And what happens after that is your ovaries literally dry up. And it's just like if you didn't have a thyroid anymore, they would give you thyroid hormone, right? You would hope. Once your ovaries dry up, they're done. They retire. They literally shrivel like raisins. It is just cruel for women not to be offered hormone therapy. And the lies that you've been told about hormone therapy have to change. We have to change the narrative. We have to educate women. I just had in clinic today, I had so many patients that, just remind me why I do what I do. They literally just, you changed my life. I can't imagine if I hadn't found you. And I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm saying this has to happen. We have to change what's going on with women and how we look at ovarian failure, because that's what happens. I mean, plain and simple. Okay. What's your thoughts on postmenopause? I take no hormone therapy. So you are very brave, little frog. My thoughts on menopause are so vast, but also very simple. Again, you are in ovarian failure. I mean, it is a cruel demise that happens. Our ancestors probably didn't have to suffer as much as this because we didn't have all these endocrine disruptors in our food supply. Everything was just different. But now we're in this place where we have all these chemicals in our food and our adrenals can't compensate anymore. And it's a difficult situation, right? So women are suffering, and the people that find their way to my clinic, they're just, they're miserable, and they don't even care because they're in a place where it's, I don't care if those things are true that we've been told about cancer and all the things. I don't care. if I have to feel the way I feel, it wouldn't be worth it for me to, keep feeling like this, right? So I just had a patient today, and she told me that she was on a synthetic hormone called Duave. And the bad thing is that that's a synthetic hormone, very different from bioidentical hormone therapy, which we call BHRT. Safe testosterone after AFib. Okay, so I'll come back to that. Feel fine in postmenopause without any hormones or medication. Okay, so yeah, you have to kind of define what is feel fine, right? It's kind of like when somebody says, how do you feel? And you're like, fine. So is fine. Thriving is fine. Are your bones fine? Or is your heart healthy? I mean, the things that you can't see. Are you gaining weight? Are you having brain fog? So I'm going to skip in. I'm going to go to brain fog in just a second, because I promise you that's the topic for tonight. But, I do get on my rant just a little bit about it's very different. And make sure you know the difference between synthetic hormones and organic, natural-based hormones. They're very different, and they do very different things. So I just, want to convey that let's not talk about synthetic hormone therapy. You call that HRT if you want. Really, the conversation is about BHRT. So we really have to focus in on how we can do it the safest. And yes, if you use synthetic hormones, you do have increased risk of cancer and heart attacks and strokes. And so my patient anyway today that was on the Duave synthetic hormones, she had surgery, and then she got a blood clot after surgery. And so she's been told, she gets asked by her OBGYN every year, who's supposed to specialize in hormone therapy, right? They're supposed to know everything. They're it's just clown world. These are the people who this is their job to know about women and hormones, right? That's their specialty, right? But every year she says, you're not on hormones, are you? Because you remember that DVT, that deep vein thrombosis clot you had. She had surgery, and she got a clot in her leg. And that happens after surgery. She had a very difficult surgery, wasn't recovering, was laying around. She knew she was supposed to get up and move. And so when you take synthetic hormones, yes, it does increase your risk, of course, to have those things, because it just acts differently. I always say it's the difference between a strawberry and a strawberry candy. If you eat a strawberry, your body's going to respond to that very differently than if you eat one of those little strawberry candies with the red cellophane, the little green stem cellophane. Your body doesn't know what to do with that high fructose corn syrup chunk, right? But it knows what to do with a strawberry. So that candy can give you diabetes, right? So a synthetic hormone can cause blood clots and cancer. It's very, very different. So I just, if you take nothing else away from that, that's very important to understand. And so she was like, she kept, like saying every year she goes in and the doctor's like harping on, you're not on hormones. And she's like scared to death to tell this woman that she's on hormones. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just nuts. This is clown world. Healthy gal. Spent over 15 years on bioidentical hormones. Yay. That's awesome. Love that. Okay. So if you guys can just hold your questions for a little bit, because I want to make sure I get into the meat of what I promised you guys to talk about. Sorry, what's that? Yeah. So brain fog. What was I talking about? I'm just kidding. Brain fog, right? I had to do that. That's my little joke. So brain fog is one of the most common things that happen with menopause. And so the narrative they want you to hear is hot flashes. And if you're not having hot flashes, you can't even have the conversation with a regular doctor about hormones, which is crazy, because when we have the hormone conversation, they write synthetic birth control pills for girls as early as 9. But then when we are in a place where we have no ovaries anymore, or we've had them removed with a hysterectomy, whatever, then they're like, oh no, you can't have that. That causes cancer. I mean, that has to change. That is so wrong on so many levels. So anyway, one of the first things that happens, and so synthetic hormones are, quote, FDA approved for hot flashes, and that's it. So that's why doctors who are bought into this narrative by people who make the rules, I mean, it's pretty creepy and dark. But anyway, there is this agenda from on high that's come down that is like a heavy fog, like brain fog, right, on us, that is causing women to suffer every single day. And that has to change because it's changing lives. It's changing, women getting divorced and like losing their minds and getting institutionalized for depression and anxiety. And it's all from ovarian failure. And 100% of women who make it past the age of 50 will have ovarian failure. That's just a given. So no matter what you do, no matter how much you exercise, how many supplements you take, you are going to experience ovarian failure at some point. So, and some women go a little bit longer, it can be 50, 55, but everyone will. So if you want to live long enough, that's something you got to prepare for. So you have to know and do your homework and be prepared because it's going to happen, right? So hot flashes are hardly anything because also women have thyroid dysfunction when their estrogen declines. And so if you are cold hands and feet, your temperature regulation is going to be off. So you're probably not going to even experience hot flashes. And I would say if you took a pie and you dissected it out, right, I would say about 20% of the women who come in my practice have hot flashes that are problematic. What they come in for, what always brings them in is weight gain. Like that's number one, right? You can deal with a lot of things. You can even deal with hot flashes, but weight gain is like, holy crap, come on, I'm not doing anything different. I'm not eating any different. And I'm gaining 10 pounds a year. That's what I hear all the time. So right after fatigue, which is number one thing, and sleep, and I did those. And you can go back and watch the live replays on my feed. But the next one after that is brain fog. And it can be crippling. It can be absolutely crippling because especially if you're high functioning, I have attorneys, I have doctors. Yes, I have doctors that come to me because doctors don't know anything about menopause and bioidentical hormone therapy. So yeah, it's crazy, but especially very high functioning people, but everybody needs mental clarity just to get through your day, right? And now all of a sudden you're forgetting your keys, which happens, right? Or just overload and you're busy and you have a lot going on. But then you're like word finding. And then you're like feeling like you're walking through mud. And then you're tired. So everybody's tired. I stayed up late, probably till midnight. I shouldn't have done that, but I was working on a project that I'm supposed to get done by Friday. I feel like a kid in school. So I felt like I was walking in mud today because I was tired. So, and if you don't have enough progesterone, you're not going to sleep as well. So then you're going to be tired and then it's going to be brain fog. So it's kind of, which come first? Is it because I'm tired and I'm not sleeping, or what's the brain fog coming from? Okay, I'm going to stop just a second. How do you feel about estradiol after a total hysterectomy? Absolutely. Of course, that's, what I'm preaching, as long as it's bioidentical and it's in some form that estrogen doesn't really do well going through the liver. So if you can use some sort of topical form, that's ideal. Absolutely. Really bad symptoms, perimenopause, very intense. Yeah, mostly what happens in perimenopause is your progesterone declines, so you're not sleeping. And then when that happens, you become something called estrogen dominant. And so estrogen dominance can cause all sorts of issues. So usually in perimenopause, I'll just use bioidentical progesterone, and you can do that cycle, meaning certain days of the month, like when it gets really bad. But you definitely need progesterone to balance out the estrogens. There's different kinds of estrogens. So without getting too complicated with that, absolutely perimenopause. And that is the time, because your hormones are starting to decline. That's a very important time for you to get a handle on what's going to happen when your ovaries completely shut down. And if you wait and you're gaining 5 to 15 pounds a year, which I see all the time, you got to get a handle on it in perimenopause, which is 5 to 15 years before you stop having periods sometimes. So as soon as you start feeling all those things, not sleeping, brain fog, tired, all those things, weight gain when it's not really been an issue before, or just it's the time to really get a handle on it, really understand what's going on. Miss Marilyn says, still going through it. Doctor wants to give me estradiol, but scared of weight gain. Okay. If they only give you estradiol, you will gain weight. I promise you, 100% guarantee it. You have to have progesterone to balance it out. If you look at a female menstrual cycle, the first part of the menstrual cycle is driven by estrogen, which causes you to build up the bloody uterine lining. And the second part of the cycle is progesterone, which causes you to slough that lining. Estrogen by itself, unchecked, causes thyroid problems and insulin problems, blood sugar storage, weight gain, and diabetes. So if you don't have the progesterone to handle that estrogen and sort of keep it in check, because that's what happens the mid part of the cycle in ovulation when you're having menstrual cycles. The progesterone kind of grabs on, not really, but just the analogy is sort of, it grabs onto the estrogen, pulls it down and says, hey, chill out. You don't need to keep building up that uterine lining. That's enough blood. There's no baby here to be, you don't need that bloody blanket in there for a baby to grow in, an egg to get fertilized. So chill out. And then progesterone says, hey, we got this. Come on, we're good. So if they just put you on an estrogen patch after a hysterectomy, you will gain weight 100% of the time. And because doctors think that you can't get uterine cancer, so you don't need progesterone to balance that out, that is crazy. That is clown world. It is unbelievable, because that's like saying you have shoes, you don't need socks. Socks have a very distinct function besides shoes, right? Like my son's 20, teenager, stinky feet. He absolutely needs socks. So for me to tell him you don't need socks, that would be terrible. So progesterone is so important. So absolutely get on some progesterone if you're going to be on estrogen. And I absolutely implore you to have that conversation. Okay, questions are coming fast. To start progesterone, what should I know? You should know that too much progesterone can make you feel puffy and tired, and that's not good. So it's really all about the balance. So make sure you're working with somebody that knows what they're doing, because too much progesterone can cause weight gain and puffy. But if it's balanced with estrogen, that's perfect. Haven't had a period for 3 months, going through this last 2-3 years, mental and physical symptoms. Get on some bioidentical hormones, BHRT. We have a great program. It's called Hormone Bliss. It is a love child of mine. I mean, just a love project, I guess I should say. That's kind of weird. But I wanted to take the availability, accessibility to the masses. And so our program has testing and includes the hormones, and we take care of everything. And it's all my protocols that I've developed over the past 25 years. And yeah, so if you're having problems getting help, go to Hormone Bliss. And if my moderator could drop that link in there, hormonebliss.com, you can check it all out, just kind of see what we do. It's got education, and super important for you to get a handle on this now and know the truth, because you're not going to get it a lot of places out there. So how can I find a good practitioner in South Carolina? I don't know. I don't ever recommend practitioners, because I never know what's going to happen. And then I don't want to recommend somebody and then have them go, that was awful. And just because I heard someone say they were good, I don't really know. Just because a doctor's nice doesn't mean they're competent. And I hear that all the time. Oh, it's a great doctor. Oh, really? What makes them a great doctor? Well, they're nice. I feel like they care. Well, that's great. But do they really know the nuances? I mean, I, in my clinic every day, tweak estrogen and progesterone levels and listen to symptoms and labs, and I regulate stuff. So it is a specialty. It is unto itself, almost like if you were a brain surgeon or a heart surgeon. I'm not comparing myself to them, because that's a whole different level of training, but I'm just saying you want somebody that can do that. But anyway, so if you can't find someone there, go to hormonebliss.com and we can help you, get you tested, find your levels, help you get that regulated. So you don't have to worry about that. If you want to hang out with us, our team is wonderful. What will help with weight gain? I'm on testosterone and progesterone. You absolutely need to, just like you need progesterone to balance out the estradiol, you've got to have estradiol. Somebody asked about pellets too. One of the frustrations I see is that these doctors sometimes don't even check levels, and it's just supply and demand. It's just a money, machine. It's like, oh, okay, women want testosterone. Let's just, jab some testosterone pellets in them. Oh, we better give them some progesterone to balance that out a little bit. But you forgot one little hormone, which is estrogen, right? And you need that. You need that for your brain. I promise you, we're going to talk about brain fog in just a minute. But you absolutely have to have that. And it's our ovaries, when they fail, when they're done, there are so many ovarian hormones. So there's DHEA, there's testosterone, there's pregnenolone, there's a lot of ovarian hormones. So I hate to see this just cookie cutter stuff or just to stick pellets in someone. And I see so many women who have weight gain with testosterone, and then they're not balancing out the estrogen and progesterone, and they'll have testosterone levels through the roof, and they're having a mustache, and they are all this acne, and they're losing their minds, and then they crash when they come down off the testosterone. And I had to take a testosterone pellet out of a lady the other day because she was like, I'm going to go to the ER if you won't take this out, because another doctor had stuck it in there. And of course, his ego got involved, and he's like, oh, it's fine. You're fine. And she's like, I'm going to kill somebody if you don't take this out. She was just like crazy over the top and mad and testy, like testosterone, right? And so anyway, I said, yeah, come on in. And I said, I'll take that out. I checked her labs too, so that we could go back and confirm what she was saying. And her testosterone levels upwards on a woman. I don't ever go over 100, maybe 125 on a testosterone level on a woman. It was 650. That is nuts. She was like an angry bear, So anyway, and that doctor wouldn't listen to her. So I'm not a fan of pellets. We do them in our office. I'm not saying I don't do them, but it's always after I get a woman very balanced. And always we put an estrogen pellet in with the testosterone, and then we do progesterone as well. So prescription of norethindrone estradiol. Haven't taken it yet. Do not take that. That is synthetic. That is a synthetic hormone. Yuck. And if it was in the pill form, that absolutely will increase your risk of breast cancer and all the things. So do not take that. Find someone who can do bioidentical hormones. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm just saying, don't do that. Absolutely don't do that. I mean, that is, I'm not going to say malpractice. I don't want to say that, but yeah, giving somebody synthetic hormones is, not cool. So, and let's see, where's my clinic? I'm in Arkansas. I'm in Northwest Arkansas, home of Sam Walton, Walmart. But if you want to use our program, you do not have to come to Arkansas. I would love it if you want to and come see me there. But you can go online at hormonebliss.com and do the testing. And we always like to start with that first, because we want to make sure that we're going to be able to serve you and that we're a good fit. And I can guarantee you, if you've listened to me this long and you're having symptoms, you have hormone issues. So checking it is just getting a baseline. Or if you're already on hormones, then we can, balance things out for you. Do I need progesterone after complete hysterectomy? Absolutely. That whole thing was a lie. That if you don't have a uterus, you can't get uterine cancer. So you don't need progesterone. There's so much more to that. So anyway, I can do a whole video on that, but I want to absolutely get on to the brain fog. And I see all your comments there. And so we're already at the 7:22 mark. So I'm going to get to some brain fog stuff that I kind of prepped to talk about for you guys, because I know some of you are waiting on that. So inbox me with your questions if I don't get to them, because, this is great. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just start not even having a topic and just answering your questions, because I know you guys are so hungry for this information and that you need help. So, okay. So I see your comments. I love you. I love you. I love you. Please inbox me if I don't get to those tonight. And after I talk about brain fog a little bit, if you're still on, roll those questions again through for me, and I'll see if I can get to them on the live. And we might go a little over tonight to see if I can get to you guys as well. Okay. So a few tips with brain fog. I will tell you that my mom and my grandmother both had severe, relatively early onset dementia. My mom was in her early 50s, and I am 55. So talk about being very concerned about that. I am. And I did my genetics for it, and I found out that I do have the gene for it. And then one day my brother said, you shouldn't really worry about it, because you do things that mom never did. You know about bioidentical hormones. You've been on them. You have the protective effect. You've always been on them. And you exercise, which is very big, which is one of the things I'm going to talk about, brain fog. And it gets oxygen to your brain. And and just, you try to eat right, you do all the things, and you keep your brain very busy. And I think that is so important, which is one of the things that I want to say about keeping your brain busy. Okay, so I'm going to get into the meat of some tips that can really help the aging brain. Okay, so number one is learn new things. I am constantly, because our online program and in clinic, and I do a bit of investigational medicine. So people come to me and they've got these crazy things that no one would listen to them. I just had a patient today say, why are you doing all this for me? Because I mean, we're looking up genetic stuff and she's got like these autoimmune flares and stuff. And I'm like, because I know that no one else will. And, that might be my ego talking, but I know enough about the medical profession that this lady's here. God put her in front of me for a reason. And I told her that. I said, God put you here in front of me right now, and I'll do everything that I can to help you. So, we're on that journey, and she's been menopausal for about 5 years and not had the protective effects. So now we're dealing with that. We got her on hormones, got her feeling better. So now we have to peel that onion and, find out what some of these autoimmune flares are that are going on with her. But, it's just, it's crazy that so many things could go on, but I keep my brain really active. So I'm trying to figure out these things for patients. And then also our online program, I have to keep those protocols fresh. I have to make sure that everyone's taken care of. And there are so many people in the program. I don't know if you saw any of my other pictures on Facebook or anything, but I was holding the packages from our Black Friday special of all the test kits, which just feeds my soul, because I never dreamed that this was going to be so successful, that people really, really would be okay with this, because it's an uphill battle to try to educate women about hormones and about what's going on. And it's just, we have to undo that narrative, and we have to start taking care of women, and we have to start making the supply and demand so that women are like, I want this, I need this. And fortunately, due to these social media platforms, people like me have a voice, and we can be out there, and people like you will listen, and you want to listen, and you're skeptical. I love that. Be skeptical. Don't believe me. Look this up, right? So it's great to be skeptical. I am so skeptical. I'm probably the most skeptical person you've ever met, because I'm like, show me, prove it to me. And that's why I'm a question asker. I'm curious. So I want to know things. So those are the traits that will keep your brain active. So we're talking about brain fog. Those are the things. Keep learning new things. I'm learning new software because I have to, because to take our program online, I have to be so involved in all of that, because I'm the one who creates the content. I'm the one who creates this conversation with you guys. I'm the one who prepares when we talk about this stuff. And so you are the one that prepares your stuff every day. You're the one who, if you're a stay-at-home mom, I mean, you need your mental clarity, so it's very important that you keep learning, and you keep active, and you keep dreaming, and you keep finding new things to do. One of the things that I did with my mom when she was in assisted living with her Alzheimer's was I learned that there's a part of the brain that operates very differently than any other part of the brain. And it's a part of the brain that receives music. So music is very, very powerful. And we love music. Music is an integral part of everything that we are. Our heartbeat is music in our chest. Sound is healing, right? So what I learned was, I actually learned to play ukulele, and then I learned to play guitar, because my mom, with her dementia, she would loop, and it was so uncomfortable. But as long as I played music and we sang, that part of her brain, the memory part, was still there. She could remember all the old Elvis songs. She could remember the country songs. And so it would be such a pleasant experience if I just went and played my guitar and we sang, than if we just sat there and she was like, where's my little dog that she had 40 years ago in a little yellow house, so it was like, it was wonderful. I learned to play guitar as an adult, so I've been playing probably less than 6 years, and I'm not that good, but I do it because it was learning a new skill. It uses so many different parts of your brain. And one of the things that they do when they test you for brain problems is to have you draw the face of a clock. And why is that? Because there's so many different aspects. And if you know someone that is struggling with maybe memory problems, all you have to do is have them draw the face of a clock and tell them to put the numbers on there and make it 10 o'clock. And like nowadays, kids have digital clocks, but you can draw, if they know someone our age that could be having memory problems is going to know how to draw the face of a clock. And if they can't, that's because that takes so many different parts of the brain. And so you'll see really skewed like lines and stuff. So anyway, learn something new. That saying old dog, new tricks is not true. You can learn. And there's something called neuroplasticity. And here's the deal. Estrogen is very important for neuroplasticity. We used to think that when you killed brain cells, they were dead forever and they were gone. That is not true. You make new brain cells every single day. So neuroplasticity is you making new brain cells and new connections. So it's very important. I don't care what it is, whether it's a crossword puzzle or something, do something new and novel every day. This is something that I read about, and I thought this was really interesting. When you drive to work or you drive somewhere that's on autopilot, that you drive every day, you get there and sometimes you don't even remember how you got there or got home from work, right? So try this. Try having the goal of noticing 3 different things, okay? So maybe it's, I'm going to look for a white car. Or maybe it's, I remember there's like a Dairy Queen on the way. I'm going to look over the Dairy Queen and see how busy they are. Or maybe it's something like, I remember, just 3 little things. I'm going to pick out 3 things on my way to work. So now you're not just on autopilot getting where you're going. You're actually forcing your brain into some neuroplasticity, right? So just simple things like that. You don't have to go learn to play guitar tomorrow, but just simple little things that make you think. Or maybe it's a computer program or something. I mean, playing games. I mean, video games are everywhere now. So anything that you can do to make your brain work. Okay. Next. Ooh, you're going to like this. Dark chocolates. Dark chocolate is actually very good. Now, not like milk chocolate that's just, sugar, but actual cocoa dark chocolate. And blueberries are very good brain food. And it's funny, when I was little, my dad used to say that Jell-O, we would eat like strawberry Jell-O. He used to call that brain food. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so actually not the high fructose corn syrup, Jell-O gelatin, but actually gelatin, like in the gelatin capsules or anything like MSM, glucosamine, chondroitin, and all those things that actually have gelatin in it can help with some of those neural pathways as well. Okay. One of the things I want to talk to you about is medications that you're on. I'm not your doctor. I am a medical doctor, but I don't want you to stop any medications without talking to your doctor. But do your research and have some informed conversation with your doctor. And they're not just going to use fear and control and tell you to get on stuff. Cholesterol medication. Cholesterol is actually a hormone, a pro-hormone that makes your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all your sex steroid hormones. You need cholesterol. You need cholesterol to lubricate your brain nerves. You need cholesterol to make your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. It is terrifying. There are over 100 million prescriptions written for statins, the cholesterol medication. There are only 300 million people in the US. 333 was the last count I looked up. 1/3 of the people in the US have a prescription for a statin cholesterol blocker. And cholesterol is so important. Now, there are other things that are part of a lipid panel that I will say that you need to be aware of, like triglycerides and good cholesterol and all that. I won't go into all of that. But there are no studies in women that prove improved outcomes of morbidity or mortality. None. Show me one. Send me one. I would love to see it. There are none. And so there is absolutely no reason in my mind for a female to be on a statin. So anyway, work that out with your doctor, do some research, but men are a different story. We have a different conversation with that about statins and lipids and things like that. A little bit different ball game with testosterone and the makeup of things. I still don't think guys should be on statins either, but that's something that I'm sandbox. I don't really play in that much. But with women, I see nothing. So anyway, not telling you to stop your meds, but do your research on that for sure. Okay. So, other medications can be things like blood pressure medications, not telling you to stop any meds, but just play Dr. Google a little bit and look at side effects of things. If you've just started a medication and then you started acting weird, especially because women get thrown on antidepressants because we're told we're just depressed because they're not going to give us hormones. So many of those medications can cause fatigue and brain fog and all sorts of things. So if you've recently started on a medication, here's one of the problems too. There's a cumulative effect. So you might not always know the cause and effect of, like, you started a medication like a year ago, and then just a month ago, you started having all this weird memory and brain fog and stuff. So it doesn't have to be like you take something and start it one day and all these symptoms start the next day. I had a lady one time who came to me for a rash, and she said, if you fix my rash, I'll, leave you my house when I die. Not really, but, she was like, you have to fix this rash. She was just ate up with this rash. And so anyway, I always blame everything on Big Pharma. So I said, let's change her blood pressure medicine out to something else. And her rash went away. But she didn't believe that that could be it. She was willing to try anything because she'd been on that blood pressure medicine for like 3 years. So a year in, or 2 years later, she started getting this rash. So, but that's what it was. So I always try to blame Big Pharma. And then sleep. I talked about sleep. So you can go back and watch the live feed on sleep. So that's really important. If you're not sleeping, you're going to have brain fog. Okay, I want to talk about a couple different supplements. I don't sell these, but I take these. I probably should get one of those Amazon links. But this is glutathione, NAC, resveratrol, and quercetin. And I can share a link with you. But this is something that I take. I do sell these. This is on our site of Shop Hormone Bliss, but there's a link there if you go to hormonebliss.com. And this is brain support. And this is my private line. And I will not go without this. When you take a supplement and you don't take it and you miss it, like, I feel it. So this has DMAE and it has Kiko biloba and a couple other things in it. So this is my lifeline. I tell you, like, if I don't take it, like, it's very foggy, but my hormones, of course, but I do notice a difference without it. There's something called aniracetam. I don't sell this either. It's really hard to find. And if you guys message me, I can give you a link. And what is that? Some popped up. I can give you a link. This used to be a prescription medication, and they took it off the market. Wonder why that is. So anyway, but I love it too. It really, really helps me. So I feel good. I've got hormones, and I feel like my memory's just fine. But you can always be a little sharper and a little clearer no matter how old you are. So these are just wonderful things. And a couple other things, MCT oil, which is a purified version of coconut oil. There are tons of studies. I could go off on all that all day about studies with improvement of memory and cognition and reversal of Alzheimer's. Wish I'd known that with my mom. I do MCT oil every single day. So anyway, okay, that's it. Brain fog, right? Things you can do, memory. So I'm going to look at a couple of your questions, and I won't go too much longer, but I promised you guys I would try to squeeze some of this in. I just had an MRI, and it shows a nodule on my thyroid. Can this affect my hormones? So yes. Okay, done. Next. So here's the deal. It's interesting, the word hormone, right? When commercial doctors, I call it, hear the word hormone, all they hear is estrogen. That's going to cause cancer. You can't take that. Unless you're a 9-year-old girl and they want to put you on synthetic birth control. It's a totally different conversation, right? That's my snarkiness. When you ask to get your hormones checked, what do they check? Your thyroid, a TSH, not even a whole thyroid panel, just a TSH. So yes, when you say, can this affect my hormones? You're talking about your ovarian hormones, I'm assuming, right? So yes, thyroid hormone, there's different thyroid hormones like T4 and T3, but the interaction with estradiol, the main estrogen, both of those convert through the liver. And so all your active form of your thyroid hormone happens in the liver. So that's, it's critical. So look up liver, look up methylation, and look up hormone conversion through the liver. So yes, they absolutely, the factory makes all the same stuff basically. And so you can't have a factory that's in isolation, right? It's like an orchestra, all the instruments playing together. So absolutely. Hope my hair loss had stopped. I have a great handout. If you want to inbox or DM me, a great freebie that I give. It's like everything to help you diagnose hair loss, whether it's hormones, ferritin, iron, I mean, all the things. So it's awesome. How much MCT oil do you take daily? I don't know. I just scored a bunch in my protein shake and my detox powder. It can cause a little bit of stomach upset. And so you have to sort of work up to it slowly. It's probably a tablespoon, I would say, but I would start with half a teaspoon and then work your way up, because you get gassy, and then it's like, oh, you feel kind of bloated. So just go slow with that. But look up MCT and coconut oil. It's medium chain triglyceride, which is the purified version of coconut oil, and Alzheimer's and memory stuff. I mean, it's just nuts. But plus, that also helps like make the cholesterol in your brain. So cholesterol is not a bad guy. It is a prohormone that makes your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. So don't be afraid of cholesterol and oil. It's not the enemy, I promise. Okay. I'm on HRT, and my doctor told me HRT will not help with weight loss. Is this true? No, it is not true. But you have to be on the right thing. So it can't be synthetic hormones, or you will gain weight. It cannot be estrogen without progesterone, or you will gain weight. Too much testosterone will cause you to gain weight. Too much progesterone will cause you to gain weight, which is why checking levels is really important, which is why in our program in Hormone Bliss, hormonebliss.com, it's got a little song to it. No, I'm just kidding. But that's why we do testing, and that's why we do symptom profiles, and that's why we individualize it to people, because that is super, super, super important. So the problem with weight gain is that after perimenopause and menopause, after your 40s, doing the same thing is not working anymore, right? The things you used to do in your 30s when your hormone levels were fine, now they don't work. So first of all, you have to get your ovarian hormones right, and then everything else will balance out, right? Then you can eat less and exercise more. Then that will work. So it is really about getting the balance of a 30-year-old before you can do the things that you could do to lose weight when you're 30, basically. And thyroid and estrogen, because they compete with each other. Thyroid is your main metabolism hormone, so it's super important to get your estrogen under control so that thyroid will behave too. Work with people who have hyperthyroidism. Yes. It's so interesting to me with thyroid. We can do a whole talk. I promise we could even do that tomorrow night, because I know it's getting late, but I'll stay a few more minutes. Thyroid dysfunction is usually a cause of something else. There's very rarely ever a primary thyroid issue. So hyperthyroid is when your thyroid is making too much thyroid hormone, versus hypo, which is too little thyroid hormone. So they're very different. There is a great website called Stop the Thyroid Madness, and they have put together some protocols that are really good for Graves' disease or hyperthyroidism. So autoimmune always has a source in gut. So leaky gut, I know you sound like you're a quack if you talk about things like leaky gut or adrenals. And when somebody asked me about adrenal, so yeah, that's a whole nother thing. We'll talk about that another night, but definitely a thing. And somebody asked me about adrenals. Do I know any good adrenal supplements? I absolutely do. There's a company called Metagenics, and they have a product called Adrenogen, Adrenogen, Adrenogen. Absolutely amazing. And yeah, it's great. We have, through our program, we have something called something scripts. There's my brain fog, right? I'm really tired. Like I stayed up way too late last night. But if you go through our program, we recommend all those supplements, and we individualize it if you're having adrenal fatigue, whatever the situation is. But Metagenics has Adrenogen. It's really good. So somebody said, what was that? Estrogen for the face. Yeah. So, I tried it. I'm 55. So, I'm like always doing all these things. It doesn't get absorbed as much into the system as using the topical creams, on the body. And usually when doctors will give you estrogen for the face, it's a really low dose. So when we use topical creams for actually trying to take care of ovarian failure after menopause, it's in a higher dose, but a low dose is fine. And I do have some that I use. It's just a little bit of estradiol and a little bit of estriol, which is a protective hormone. And I don't know that it does that much, but I'm taking hormones that are getting absorbed into my body from within. So I'm getting the hormones. So I feel like, at 55, I feel like I'm good and my skin has a lot of elasticity, and I am thrilled to, be a spokesperson for what 55 can look like. So, and I've had some cosmetic stuff. I mean, I'm a Botox girl, had some surgeries and stuff, but you have to have the integrity and the collagen in your skin for those things to work. Because, a Sharpay puppy face and Botox, it'll never work. So you have to have those hormones from within. And I get people telling me all the time, what can I do? And like they're going for like procedures, like it's Christmas time. So all these people are selling all these, Botox packages and stuff for the whole year. And it's like they should have hormone therapy at these places because you need that for the scaffolding and the structure. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can use some topical estrogen on the face, and there's lots of evidence that it doesn't get absorbed a lot. So if you're scared of cancer, which please don't be, that's like, unless you're taking synthetic hormones, don't be afraid of organic hormones. But if you want just for the skin stuff, then that's probably fine. So okay, you are goals. Okay. I'm not sure what that means, but there's hearts there. So I'm like, okay, love you. Thanks for sharing that. And let's see, what else do we got? Okay. So I guess that's probably a wrap. If I didn't get to your questions, please message me and I'll be happy to try to answer them. But I love you very much. I do this every night at 7:00. So come join me, hang out with me, and I will answer any questions I can. But please do your homework. Don't suffer. Don't be like, I had a lady the other day and she was 20 years out from menopause, constant hot flashes, had not slept a full night in 20 years. Please don't be that lady. Don't be that lady. That's miserable. That's a miserable existence. Just imagine if you didn't have a thyroid, you would find somebody to give you thyroid hormones. If you are postmenopausal, you don't have ovaries, find someone who will give you ovarian hormones. So, and if you can't, or if you just love what we do and want to check us out, go to hormonebliss.com. And it's like I say, it's a labor of love. I've worked many, many years on trying to find that one path that I can help so many people. So, and I'm very excited because we have testosterone therapy and we're going to launch a whole nother program for that. And women have been so marginalized about testosterone, and it is going to be so cool. Like my dream is to take testosterone QVC someday because women need it. We actually have more testosterone than estrogen in our bodies. I know guys have a lot more testosterone, but for women, even young women who have low libido, who don't feel good, who are struggling with different hormone issues, testosterone can make all the difference in the world. And so that is super exciting too. So stay tuned for that. But we do have testosterone therapy that we do with our folks too. So check us out, hormonebliss.com. And if you guys have any thoughts or topics, I'm doing the 25 days of Advent, 25 symptoms of menopause. So tonight was brain fog. And so surprise topic tomorrow night. But tell your friends, bring your questions. I'll see you tomorrow night. Love you.